The comms hissed with panic. Alpha team trapped, taking heavy fire. Calling for support right away. Staff Sergeant Dana Ghost Cross had been listed Kia 3 hours back when her sniper nest was swarmed and destroyed. No body was ever found, assumed gone with the blast that leveled her hideout. Yet as 20 insurgents moved in to finish off the Pin SEAL team, a known voice slid through the static. Alpha team, Ghost here, I see you. 3 rounds, 3 dead. Keep your heads down. Dana Cross was 29, Montana raised, steady grip making miracle shots in harshest places. She served as Alpha's unseen shield for 2 years, watching from cover so deep enemies never realized death had eyes on them. Her handle, Ghost, wasn't only for vanishing, it was for erasing foes without sound or trace. The Helmand Province op had been routine intel work. Alpha team was sent to scout a Taliban command hub buried in the mountain town of Derek. Dana set up on a ridge 900 meters out, unseen in the stone and shadows that hid warriors for ages. Lieutenant Commander Jack Falcon Rivera ran Alpha, 12 of the Navy's best men chosen for black ops that never made reports. They had run 9 prior missions with Dana, and her aim never let them down. With her above, Alpha felt untouchable. But the intel had failed. What seemed a small band turned out a fortified base with over 70 fighters, big guns, and traps built for months. Alpha marched into a death zone crafted to snare America's elite. Contact. Contact. Rivera's voice ripped the net as bursts of they were under brutal fire from every side, and Dana instantly began scanning for targets from her hidden nest. Through the lowered scope pressed tight against her cheek, she spotted Alpha team crouched behind poor cover as insurgents moved to encircle them. Her opening shot dropped the gunner manning the heavy weapon on the western ridge. Her second round took out the field commander shouting orders from the top of a compound roof. Ghost, we need fire on the southern flank. Rivera called between frantic bursts of his rifle. They're pushing around us. Dana was already following the shapes moving in her glass. Her third round cut off the flanking push forever. For nearly half an hour, she worked steadily, erasing fighters one by one while Alpha team scrambled to carve out a defensive line. Every squeeze of the trigger landed true. Headshots at punishing distance, moving silhouettes, angles so severe they would break the confidence of most snipers alive. That's when the sky rained mortars. Incoming! Incoming! A voice shrieked over the net as 82mm shells slammed down around the SEAL's cover. But the enemy had adapted from past fights with American shooters. Instead of pounding Alpha directly, they bracketed the ridge where Dana was perched. The first blast hit 60 meters out, pelting her with shards of stone and choking dust. The second shook the ground nearer. The third detonated against the rock formation hiding her post. The blast lit the night, seen from Alpha's position 4 kilometers off, a ball of fire and thunder that rolled the ridge into a storm of dirt and smoke. When the haze lifted, all that seemed left of her sight was a mound of burning rubble. Ghost status. Ghost answer. Rivera's voice tore through the comms, lined with panic, but silence filled the channel. All units, this is Alpha Leader. Rivera forced out with the grim weight of a man who had buried too many already. Be advised, Sniper 27 is down. I repeat, Ghost is Kia. With their Shadow Guardian gone, Alpha's chances plunged. Insurgents charged from every side, emboldened now that no unseen scope was cutting them down. Rivera counted no less than 50 closing in to swallow their small ring of defense. Alpha team, we fight out. Rivera ordered, steel in his tone. Bound and cover movement to extraction point Charlie. Yet that rally spot lay 3 kilometers away across terrain crawling with enemy patrols. Without Ghost overhead, it was a death march. Rivera knew it, his operators knew it, and the enemy damn sure knew it too. Ever been at the edge of defeat, when the person you thought was gone forever suddenly shows up? What Alpha could not imagine was that Dana Cross was not finished. The mortar had smashed the rock face right above her nest, collapsing tons of stone and leaving the illusion of total destruction. Fire tore from all sides, but Dana had tucked herself inside a natural cavern hidden behind the massive slab of stone. When the blast sealed the entrance, it didn't kill her. It trapped her alive in a hollow barely big enough to curl up. For hours, Dana clawed at the debris in total blackness, scraping until she made a narrow opening just wide enough to aim through. Her fingers were torn open, her body aching and bruised, yet her rifle remained in her grip. Most vital, the scope was still intact. Through a hole in the fallen rock no wider than a softball, Dana could view the valley where Alpha Team fought desperately to survive. She picked up their transmissions. She counted the fighters gathering for the last push to wipe out her brothers. With trembling hands, raw from labor and pain, Dana keyed her mic. Alpha Team, Ghost here. I've got eyes on you. 3 shots, 3 kills. Stay down. The silence on comms was crushing. Ghost? Rivera's voice wavered between disbelief and hope, barely hanging on. Ghost, is that really you? Affirmative, Alpha Leader. Rumors of my death have been greatly overstated. My hide is compromised, but I have clean angles on the enemy units. Mark me targets. Through her battered optic, Dana spotted 25 insurgents pressing toward Alpha's hold. They strode boldly, certain the American sniper was gone. None realized Ghost was tracking each step. Rivera's tone shifted, command fire restored. Ghost, squad leads at your 2 o'clock, 500 meters, prepping the final push. Dana pivoted her glass and locked onto them fast. 3 men together, gesturing toward Alpha's line, plotting the strike meant to crush the Americans. I've got them, Dana whispered into comms. Stand by. The first round cracked from a sight everyone swore was ashes. The lead commander crumpled instantly, a headshot at 700 meters through a gap in broken stone no marksman should ever hit through. Chaos followed. Insurgents scrambled for cover, scanning every ridge, but no one looked at the mound they thought had buried her. The next shot rang 12 seconds later. Another commander collapsed, the same ghostly precision that built her legend among both allies and foes. Fear spread like fire in dry grass. Their leaders gone, their plans shattered, their men rattled by a phantom striking from nowhere. The third round finished it. The last commander fell, and with him the entire coordinated attack meant to crush Alpha Team. Targets neutralized, Dana radioed cruelly. Alpha Team, you've got 90 seconds before regroup. Move to Charlie now. Rivera didn't falter. Alpha Team, bound in cover to EP Charlie, move, move, move. As Alpha Team began their fighting withdrawal through the kill zone, Dana kept firing from her crushed cavern. Round after round cut down fighters chasing the Americans. Her supply of ammo was finite. Her hide was blown open. Yet her precision stayed flawless. Each squeeze mattered. Every shot kept someone alive. For nearly an hour, Dana alone held back the entire enemy force, while Alpha carved a bloody path to the extraction point. When her rifle ran dry, she switched to her pistol. When the pistol emptied, she tossed grenades. When those were gone, she kept feeding intel and directing movement over comms. Ghost, we're at EP Charlie, Rivera finally sent. Bird inbound. What's your condition? Dana surveyed the wreckage of her shattered post. The entrance blocked tight, no ammo left, and she knew soon enough fighters would trace her location. But Alpha was safe. Alpha Leader, my position cannot be extracted. Continue mission. Negative, Ghost. We don't abandon our own. Alpha Leader, you've got 12 men who deserve to make it home. I have maybe 40 minutes before they pull me from the rocks. Get clear. The net went quiet, every second heavy. Ghost? Rivera's voice cracked under the weight of choices that would scar him forever. We'll come back for you. I know you will, Falcon. Tell my husband Daniel I kept my vow. Tell him Ghost always finds her way back, even when declared dead. The helo roared skyward, carrying 11 survivors of Alpha to safety. Behind them, Dana Cross leaned deeper into her broken cavern, bracing for whatever came. But the story didn't close with noble death. 14 hours later, Rangers and Afghan soldiers stormed the mountain town where Alpha had been ambushed. Officially, it was logged as counterinsurgency, but all knew the truth. They were coming for Ghost. They found Dana collapsed, but alive inside the rubble, dehydrated, battered, yet still breathing. Around her were 9 enemy corpses, proof she had fought on even without ammo, wielding makeshift tools and raw resolve. Medics found her with a concussion, deep cuts, and severe dehydration, but no fatal damage. Even more astounding, inspection showed she had fired 52 rounds, recording 49 confirmed kills. 49 kills from a sealed position through a gap smaller than a basketball, the after-action report concluded. Staff Sergeant Cross's actions saved 11 SEALs and wiped out a major insurgent force in the Helmand province. For weeks later, Dana Cross was back at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado in California, officially recovering from her wounds, but quietly preparing her return to combat duty. The doctors urged her to take extended rest. Her husband Daniel pressed her to look at civilian life. Her commanders suggested she accept a training billet away from the front, but Dana wanted to rejoin her team. "You were gone out there," Rivera told her in their first talk after the mission. "For 3 hours, we were certain you were dead. I had to draft the letter to your husband. I had to explain to your child that his mother was not coming home. But I did come back," Dana said softly, just as I swore I would. "Ghost, you've done enough. Given more than anyone could ask, no one would fault you for stepping down." Dana met his eyes with the stare of someone who had faced too much loss and stopped even more. "Falcon, those fighters are still out there. Alpha still runs missions, and as long as my brothers are downrange, my place is above them watching." 7 months later, Staff Sergeant Dana Ghost Cross was again in Afghanistan, covering SEAL operations across the region. Her myth grew larger among the enemy. She was the sniper who returned from death, the ghost who could never be killed. But for the SEALs she guarded, Dana was not just a myth. She was proof that promises could hold even when the cost was unbearable. She was the angel on Overwatch, protecting brothers long after the world thought she had vanished. The techniques Dana used in that impossible fight became standard lessons in SEAL sniper schools. Instructors taught modules on firing from compromised hides and improvising collapsed sites modeled on her actions. But they also stressed something deeper, that no gear or weapon matters without the will to fight on when all odds turn against you. Have you ever seen someone honor a vow that looked impossible to keep? 2.5 years after the Helmand incident, Dana was awarded the Navy Cross for her valor in the battle. The citation read, "For extraordinary heroism while serving as a sniper with a Navy SEAL element in combat against enemy forces." Staff Sergeant Cross's skill, leadership, and complete devotion to her team brought about the safe extraction of 11 Americans and the destruction of entrenched enemy positions. The ceremony took place at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado with her family, her SEAL brothers, and senior officers present. But the most meaningful moment came after, when Rivera pulled Dana aside in private. "Ghost, I need to admit something. In those hours when we thought you lost, I kept rehearsing what I would tell your boy. How I would explain that his mother had fallen shielding her brothers. But now I know I had it wrong." "What do you mean?" "I don't need to tell him you died for us. I need to tell him you lived for us. That when every sign said impossible, you still found a way to keep your word." Dana nodded with quiet strength. "That's who we are, Falcon. We always find ways to honor promises that look impossible to fulfill." The reach of Dana's actions stretched far past that single night of battle. Intel recovered from the insurgent leaders she eliminated led to the collapse of 4 large Taliban networks and the capture of several high-value operatives. The psychological shock was even more powerful. Hearing that an American sniper could literally rise from the dead created a shadow of fear that shaped enemy behavior across the region. But the most lasting impact was what Dana's survival meant to the SEALs she fought beside. They discovered that resolve could defeat hopeless odds, that preparation could carry them through the darkest hours, and that their brotherhood outweighed any threat waiting for them. Lieutenant Commander Jessica Venom Ramirez, a SEAL marksman who trained under Dana after her return, put it in plain words, "Ghost showed us that being marked dead doesn't mean you stop the fight. It means you push harder because everyone is depending on you to come back." The official report stayed sealed at the highest level, yet the accounts spread like wildfire through the special operations community. Every sniper course in the armed forces began teaching Cross's methods for surviving collapsed hides. Every SEAL element adopted her radio calls for working from broken positions. And above all, Every operator learned that the word impossible was just another way to say extremely difficult. Dana stayed with Alpha for 4 more tours, taking part in dozens of missions where her study watch tipped the scale between success and failure. She was never buried alive again, but she stepped into countless traps where normal tactics would have collapsed. Each time she invented new ways through, securing objectives and pulling her men back intact. The thing about Ghost, Rivera would tell recruits in training, is that she never accepted hopeless. When we believed she was gone, she was figuring out survival. When we were at our weakest, she was already carving paths for us to win. That is what defines true elite. Not just gear, not even skill, but the refusal to quit when the world breaks down around you. 5 years after the Hellman battle, Dana Ghost Cross stepped out of combat duty and into training the next generation of long-range warriors. Her classroom at the Naval Special Warfare Center gained its own legend, not for the ballistics she drilled, but for the mindset she burned into her students. Anyone can learn to aim true, she would remind each class. The system will teach you to shoot at distance, to read wind, to care for your rifle. But the system cannot teach you how to keep fighting when everyone believes you are finished. She would pause then, studying eager faces desperate to prove themselves. The line between a good sniper and a great sniper isn't measured by groupings on a target. It lies in the will to carve out answers when no answers exist, the grit to uphold your vow when keeping that vow looks impossible. The students always leaned in to hear about the night she had been pronounced dead, about the impossible headshots fired through collapsed stone, about the choices that saved Alpha Team from being erased. Dana shared those moments, yet she always closed with one lesson. I didn't make it out of that battle because I was the best marksman alive. I made it because I refused to accept my story was finished. When the mountain caved in on me, when the world believed I was gone, I had a decision. Give in or keep fighting to protect my brothers. She would stare straight into the faces before her. Every one of you will face that decision someday. The setting will change, the obstacles will differ, but the choice will be the same. Quit or carve a way forward. The warriors who come home are the ones who carve away. Dana's teaching became the spine of modern special operations sniper doctrine. Her innovations were studied in war colleges, written into manuals, and taught to allied marksmen around the globe. But her greatest gift wasn't tactical, it was philosophical. She showed that the will of the operator remained the decisive weapon, beyond any gadget or advanced tactic. Years later, when historians charted the path of early 21st century special operations, they listed defining battles that shaped modern conflict. The Hellman battle stood as proof that raw determination could turn the tide when nothing else could. But for the SEALs who served beside Dana Cross, the truth was even sharper. Some vows are worth keeping no matter the cost, and the most unbreakable weapon a fighter carries is the refusal to stop even when surrender seems inevitable. Ghost showed us that being elite isn't about never breaking, Rivera admitted at his own retirement ceremony. It's about finding ways to prevail when weakness should mean defeat. That radio call, an impossible voice from a woman thought dead guiding her living brothers, became a symbol across the entire special operations world. It stood for the ties that held warriors together, for the will that turned lost causes into victories. Dana Ghost Cross had kept her word. She came home even when the world had already buried her. And in doing so, she proved that the greatest victories aren't won by those who never fall, but by those who rise again when everyone else counts them out. Alpha Team, this is Ghost. I have eyes on you. 3 shots, 3 kills, 11 lives saved. One promise kept in the face of the impossible. Because sometimes the most vital support comes from the place no one expects, delivered by someone who refused to believe her story was over. Dana Ghost Cross did more than survive. She proved that impossible was only another condition to be beaten by grit and vision. And in proving that, she reminded every warrior that the strongest weapon you can carry is the vow to never abandon your brothers, no matter the risk, no matter the odds, no matter if the world believes you're already gone. This has been Captain Joe's Stories. If you enjoyed this account, make sure to subscribe for more incredible tales like this one.